Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for joining us today. Trust your week was productive and trust we reached all our business goals for the week. You're all welcome to Crystal Finance's first webinar for the year. We hope to make it as engaging and as informative as possible. Please stay with us as we discuss issues that border on business growth. Okay, Crystal Finance Company Limited is a licensed financial institution regulated by the Central Bank of Nigeria, CBN. We render services such as credit and loans administration, treasury and investments, as well as business advisory. What do I mean? If your business needs a push-up but does not have the financial strength, then please contact Crystal Finance Company for credits and loans. Or do you need to set aside some funds you don't wish to use now, maybe till a later time? Then you can fix it with Crystal Finance Company and get very competitive interest rates on your investments. Also, if you need advice on how best to manage your company, your business, then please come to Crystal Finance Company. You can reach us on all our social media platforms. We are on Instagram, and our Instagram handle is at crystalfinance_ng. On Facebook, we are Crystal Finance Company Limited. On Twitter, we are at Crystal Finance_. And on the LinkedIn platform, we are Crystal Finance Company Limited. You can also find out more about us on our website at www.crystalfinanceng.com. My name is Nneka Damsadelawo, and I'll be your moderator for today's webinar. Our theme for today is growth fundamentals for Nigerian businesses, and it will be focused on three key areas: the manpower, the money, the market. I have with me here three speakers who will be doing justice to these three mentioned areas. Firstly, I have with me the Managing Director, Crystal Finance Company Limited, Mr. Emodu Mamadou. He will be speaking on business processes and manpower. Good afternoon, sir. Thank you for joining us, sir. Can you hear me, sir?
Nneka, sorry, I think I didn't put on my mic. Good afternoon, audience. It's great to be here. Good afternoon, Nneka, also.
Good afternoon, sir. Thank you very much, sir. Secondly, I have with me the head finance, treasury, and accounts, Crystal Finance Company Limited, Mayowa Ono. She will be speaking on setting and achieving business goals. Good afternoon, Mayowa.
Good afternoon, Nneka. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for being here.
Thank you. Thank you for joining us today. Lastly, we have the Risk Management Officer, Crystal Finance Company Limited, in person of Ayode Faleto. He will be speaking on understanding and analyzing your markets. Good afternoon, Ayode.
Good afternoon, Nneka. Good afternoon, everybody. Thanks for having me. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you for joining us today. Okay, so before we start off the session, I would like to mention that if we have any questions as we listen to our speakers, please leave them in the chat box. Our speakers will take questions at the end of each section. And then at the end of the entire session, if we couldn't take your questions, we will take as many questions as possible. Now to our first speaker for today, sir. So it is said that if a business a business is as good as its people, you know. So what criteria should, as a business owner, should I consider when I'm staffing? Or even before I start staffing, what should I take into account when I'm planning, you know, for my business? Over to you, sir.
Okay, thank you, Neka. Good afternoon once again, audience. It's great to be here to speak about how to manage the manpower resource and build a process for our businesses or for a business. I'll say that sojourning as an entrepreneur, it's a journey that is filled with a lot of uncertainty. And of course, when you embark on a journey, the first thing first I would advise you to have is your roadmap. In business, that roadmap is called a feasibility study. So therefore, as an entrepreneur, you're starting, the first key to success is to have a feasibility study. I'll also say that the journey of an entrepreneur or the entrepreneur himself is akin to a driver who is vested with a lot of discretion to board the vehicle to a destination. He's given all the discretion, whatever he needs to do to take that vehicle to that destination. You decide on your speed limit subject to any limitation. You decide your route. You decide on how to manage your passengers. You decide on when to stop to fuel the vehicle, etc. You have that discretion. Similarly, in business, the entrepreneur has a discretion on what to do to manage a business. The success of every business is a function of the people and management. And of course, management is also the quality of our judgments. So therefore, we can say that in planning for the growth of a business, we have to be careful, or great care must be taken in assembling the people and designing our process. When we speak about assembling the people, who are the people first? So I come to manpower planning. I have categorized the manpower need or the manpower resource of an organization into three distinct categories. The entrepreneur himself is a manpower. His business partners or the board, they are manpower, and the staff, they are manpower. I'll start with managing the entrepreneur or the business owner. Most of the times, we as business owners often feel that we can behave anyhow while we're in our territory. But we should know that our behavior and as the first image maker for the organization goes a long way to affect the success of our businesses. And as such, once you wear the garment of the business owner, of the entrepreneur, of the managing director, you must moderate your behavior. I have highlighted things that we should pay close attention to as business owner. The first one here is trustworthiness. We should realize that as business owners, our character precedes us. Your character is the light that shines. And then, of course, character is that currency which we term as an intangible asset that brings business for you as a business owner. So you should guide jealously your reputation and your character. For example, as a business owner, your word should be your bond. Even if you made those promises in error, you must do what you say you will do. You have employees, beginning of the year, you've promised them a raise if they achieve XYZ, and then you get to the end, you renege on that. You're building a bad name for yourself. Invariably, you're building a bad name for the company. You promise your clients certain discounts and volume if they hit certain days, or you promise some certain kind of kickback, and then when you get there, it's no longer convenient to do it, and you renege on them. You're building a bad name, not only for yourself, but for your business. So we should watch our character and our trustworthiness, our truthfulness. So we should learn to manage that as entrepreneurs, as business owners. Secondly, discipline. It's very easy for us to set up a business, and as a man who calls the shots, you do what you want to do and tell others to do what you want them to do. Like the saying goes, people will always do as you do, they copy you. So you own a business, resumption time is 7 o'clock, but you always come 9 o'clock. You don't expect your staff to be disciplined enough to hold forth for you till 9. Everybody will always behave as they wish. Timeliness, the time you fix for a meeting, you come late for meetings, they all start adding up. Everybody can always see how disciplined you are, how objective you are in taking decisions, how just you are. You should be seen to be just, you should be seen to be disciplined, you should be seen to be that person who can toil and always deliver according to promises. It is only then that you can ask your employees of the same thing. So you should first of all discipline yourself and take the pain to do those difficult tasks. Next, I will speak about self-denial. The truth is that as an entrepreneur, when we set up business, the first thing first behind everybody's mind is that the business will feed us. That's true. That's the reason we're setting up a business. But the truth is that as you set up a business, you should give the business time to grow. What most of us do is we start a business, while it's still in process of growing, we're planning for it, we put all our burden, financial burden on the business. It's akin to you're cooking and you're eating the food from fire before it's even done. Then there's no food to be done at the end of the day. So we should first of all learn to practice self-denial. You have to toil and work for the business first. It's only when the business is now sure-footed that the business can also now work and start toiling for you. Similarly, we know legally a business is different from the person who has founded it. A business is a separate entity of its own. And as such, we, the founder, the proprietors, we stand in the stead of a trustee. So as a trustee, in the trust law, there are a lot of things you should not do. I cannot convert the assets of my principal in trustee relationship. So I can be charged for a crime of conversion if I use the resources of the business anyhow. If we know this legally, then it also just helps us to comport ourselves. Start seeing the business separate from yourself. Of course, we have examples abound. People set up businesses, and then from there, even the company's account, the ATM to it, a business account will have an ATM. You need to buy something at the supermarket, it's not your business account you are slotting in to spend directly from. Where does that go to? So we should learn to separate ourselves from the business first. Again, speaking about self-denial, the truth is that sometimes you will need people to also sacrifice for you, especially your staff, in tough times. When everybody sees that you don't deny yourself, as the money comes in, you finish it. When those tough time comes, you cannot convince the staff to sacrifice for you. So really, you need to manage yourself and learn to deny those gratifications. And then I'll also say delayed gratification. This is slightly different from self-denial. Delayed gratification. Yes, you started a business, the business is now making money. We're excited when a business is making money. And as such, we quickly want to buy the big house, move to the big, buy the big car, move to the posh area and leave everything behind. But the truth is that we should know that businesses or business cycles happens in peak and troughs. It is the prosperity of the peak time or the savings you make during the peak time that you will use to cushion the losses in the bad time. So as such, let's not be too quick to celebrate when we make that success. As a rule of thumb, for me, I don't buy that thing if I don't have 10 times the money. So I need to move to a new office for the business, for example. We don't decide to make that move if we cannot afford 10 times the rent. That's the truth. So as entrepreneur, we should first of all learn the habit of being parsimonious. We should learn to manage the resources of the company and not take those quick decisions, even if we're making money, not take those quick decisions to quickly buy those big things. The second category of human resource you have to manage is your business partners, or are your business partners. I will say that most times when we start a company, for some of us, the CAC document is reading on the board, it is our wives and our children that are on the board. But of course, if we have this kind of thing, it clothes the company with a perception of unprofessionalism. And of course, it can limit your reach, your business reach. No serious person wants to deal with you. Investors, lenders, and partners, they want to see that your board is well constituted in line with good corporate governance. As such, when we get to this stage and we need to constitute and choose our partner, I will advise that the first thing first we should decide or look at is to probe our partner's greed. That is very important, because you will not want to bring in somebody who, when the food is done, they will hold your hand from eating. That's true. If you are okay with the level of greed of your partner or your board members, then you can now look at other things. Vision. Do they see the company in light, in the same light with which you see it? The vision you have for the company and the vision they have for the company, is it aligning? If it is, then they are good to be your partners. Experience, you should probe their experience. You should probe their experience, because at the end of the day, it is what they have to give, or it is their experience that they're bringing that will add value. So they must have those relevant experience that complement you. Passion. Most times we have partners and they are dormant partners. They're just there to answer the name of a partner, but you still do the toil. It's like baking a cake and you have few bakers. The cake will not be big enough to share. So you should choose people with similar passion, somebody you can call in the midnight, and they are ready to listen and do the work of the company, the work of the business. They are ready to put in their soul to work for the business. Those are the kind of people you should consider. Lastly, I'll say complementarity in skills. I'll give an example. You are starting a business I'm an IT person. All my friends are in the IT profession, and then I select them. They all populate the board. The truth is that our head is in the same direction. We are not diverse. If I need to choose partners, I should choose people who complement my skill. So if I'm very good in IT, I don't need to have another partner who is equally good in IT. Let me choose somebody who knows finance. Let me choose somebody who knows accounting. Let me choose somebody who is a lawyer. So at the end of the day, when we sit to decide issues, we look at it from different perspectives and we bring a solution. So in deciding who your partners will be, I have said, probe the grid, and at the end of the day, check out for uniformity in vision. They must be experienced, they have passion, and they complement your skill. Thirdly, the third category of manpower are the employees. Of course, they are the most important part of an organization. They drive the dreams of the organization. But most times we don't just hire because we want to populate the company with people. You hire in such a way that the staff or the employees you bring in align with your long-term goal. I'll say for me, when I hire, what I look at, I probe honesty. That ranks highest in my consideration, because we all know that every employee, let me not say every employee, we all know that in every organization, no matter how tight your processes are, the employees or the workers have the knowledge of the system to try to beat it. It only takes somebody who by nature is honest that they will not start probing on loopholes and how to go around beating the system. Two, I look at stability of tenure. As a small business, when you want to start, what is most important to you is start building the structure, start building the system, and then start retaining knowledge, what we call company knowledge. You don't want to bring in those people who probably will use your platform as a springboard to advance their career. So they leave an organization, they come to your organization, they get the next high-paying salary, and then they're out there looking for the next one to use your salary to negotiate. You don't do that. Similarly, when I hire, especially from the floor, entry point level, I'm also wise enough to not just bring people based on academic achievements. I'll give an example. We don't discriminate in who we bring in. If you bring a third class, 2-1, 2-2, first class, you are all qualified. But the truth is that if I have a third class candidate and I have a first class candidate, they both have done equally well in an interview, I'll settle for the third class candidates. Because wisdom will tell you that as a small business, you cannot compete in the market for human resource with the large business. The large business will outpay you in salary and take away your staff. So if you choose to populate with the first class candidates, you know that they will not stay. They will all fly away when that higher salary comes in. So you are looking at stability of tenure. The person most likely who made a third class will be so grateful that you're giving him an opportunity and they are willing to grow a point. And you are building a structure for your organization. Of course, I look at costs. Bottom line is everything that we all look at in a business. And as such, if you have two people, same competence, you always choose the guy who wants a lower salary. That's a no-brainer. And of course, competencies. Because competencies are the skills that you're hiring anyway. So if the person has no competence, you don't bring him in. The competence must align with the role you want the person to do or to perform. Similarly, you don't bring in people because they are related to you, somebody has referred them to you, and then they truly have no competence. you are only doing the organization injustice. In all of this, I look at the team cohesiveness, the team spirit. That team spirit within an organization is what makes all of us who are members of the organization to wake up in the morning and be happy to come in to work. Because we have family here who we all share same values, same culture with. You should be very careful not to bring somebody with a bad blood that is going to tear apart that team spirit, that cohesiveness. So the attitude equally matters. No matter how good you are, if you are very honest, if you stay, if you are cheap, if you have the competence and you have bad attitude, I can sense it, no way, you shouldn't come in. So in hiring the employees, honesty rank first for me. I look at stability because I want to build an organizational knowledge that you can always tap to. Of course, bottom line is key, and competence. I go to building the process. In building the process, I have just simplified this or encapsulate it with an organogram or organizational chart. The organizational chart simply is a skeleton of our processes. That's the truth. And in trying to build an organizational chart, what comes to mind or what is paramount? For me, the first thing that is paramount in building an organizational chart or a process is fraud prevention. How do we prevent fraud in the system? When it comes to fraud, we know that employee fraud, next slide please. When it comes to fraud prevention, we know that employee fraud is the biggest thing that can kill your business. And as such, what do you look out to prevent the fraud? From the process of selection, I have said you should probe the honesty of every staff. That's not enough. While you employ every staff that you think is honest, your processes you have to build into your processes controls that prevent people from committing fraud. Like I will say, in every fraud cases, or what is believed, everybody, every human being has the potential, the tendency to commit fraud. What stops us from committing fraud or from stealing is if there are no getaway, if we will be caught. Honestly, if there are opportunities and will never be caught to commit a fraud, we will always commit it. So for an organization, you owe the organization a duty to put processes that deter people or discourage people from committing fraud. The simplest you can think about is never letting one person to start a process and finishing the process. It means you should be able to segregate duty so that there's check and balance. It's not the same person that goes to pay money to the bank, for example, that you also give the responsibility of reconciling the bank statements. They will always conceal what they have done. Secondly, speaking about our organogram and building a process is a function of our service promise. Our service promise could be anything. If we promise speed, it simply means we will build an organogram that will be flat. In building an organogram that will be flat, it simply means that the entrepreneur should be able to devolve power down to his subordinate and grant them a lot of discretion. We always have that tendency as entrepreneur, as a managing director, as a head of a business to always arrogate all the powers to ourselves, and then everybody takes permission. It does not augur well for the organization. So if your organization is about speed and efficiency, you have to build a flat organization, and then you have to devolve the power for people to carry out their task swiftly. You have to believe in their competence. Thirdly, building a process is also a function of the stage of the company. When we start, it's not the same organogram that you have as you grow. As you surely grow, things become more complex, and then you have to evolve your process to take care of those complexities. I will say, in conclusion, that everything we do as business owner, putting the process, or everything I have spoken about, putting the process together, hiring people, they are all the formal sector or formal relation. In an organization, you have that aspect, which is the informal relation. It is the connection between people. It is in how they relate. It is in reason why somebody wants to do something for you without necessarily you forcing them. Those formal relationships are very critical in an organization. As an entrepreneur, you might sit up there in your high horse, but you should learn to calm down and pay close attention to the informal relationship in your organization, especially the grapevine. Every organization has what they call a grapevine. The grapevine, every rumor is carried first in the grapevine before it materializes. The grapevine that knows who is going to leave first, who is going to resign, who is going to do this, who is going to do that. You, as the head, you hear last. Pay close attention to the grapevine. Similarly, when they are disgruntled or people are not happy with the organization, discuss around the grapevine. And then if you listen to the grapevine, it makes you to be more emotive. It makes you to live more with emotions because we're dealing with human beings. We cannot just all be about rules and policies. We also have to appeal to people's emotion. So in conclusion, I would say in building your process, in building a human, you also need to pay attention to the informal relationship within the organization and learn to be more emotive. 2, handling people. Thank you for listening.
Wow. Thank you very much, sir. That was very, very informative. I mean, I hope all our participants, listeners are jotting things down. I am, and I jotted some points, you know, from what our first speaker noted. I said, my first point, he said, you know, give your business time to grow before you reward yourself. You know, your business success is a function of your personal judgment, your discipline, the quality of your people. And as you know, a business owner, you have to put controls in place to prevent fraud. Yeah. Also, he mentioned something, he said, ensure you don't bring on board a greedy partner. He also said, when you are employing people, consider honesty, consider stability, consider costs, consider their competencies and team spirit. You don't want to bring on board someone, you know, who would come and ruin things, you know, that you have already put in place. Okay, I think we have a question. I can see someone's hand, but if you have a question, please leave your question in the chat box. We will take your question from the chat box. So this question says, talking about discipline, how would one handle a boss who will give appointments to clients, but willingly sits in the office just to keep them waiting without attending to them? How can an employee make her understand such behavior is bad and doesn't speak well? This question is from Chinasa. Chinasa, thank you for your question. I believe she's coming from the employee point of view. I don't know, sir, if you want to take that question.
Okay, Chinasa, thank you for your question. When I spoke about discipline, I said the owner of business needs to manage himself to be disciplined. What you have actually pointed out is that the owner of the business is not disciplined. From the perspective of the employee, it's difficult to beat your employer, difficult to beat him to be disciplined. The natural thing that will happen is that he will realize that he starts losing business, he starts losing clients. And if he truly loves the business, he will trace back his steps and decide to correct himself. Again, it depends. If it's somebody that listens and there's a forum where he listens to employees, this can be pushed out to him and pointed out to him. He might correct that, but truly there's no such forum. It's difficult. The only thing that will discipline him is now the business, the outcome. As you start losing clients, you start losing business, and then you truly want to trace back your step. Why am I doing this? You realize that it's in your behavior, and then you have to modify your behavior. And that's why we said, we started with the first person to manage. The employer must manage himself. The entrepreneur must manage himself. So really what we see, or what you have seen, is an indiscipline of the employer, and he needs to manage himself to succeed in the business.
Okay, thank you very much for that, sir. Chinasa, I hope we're able to answer your question, but if otherwise, please, you can communicate on the chat box. Okay, so if you're just joining us now, thank you for joining us today. You're very, very much welcome. Our first speaker just spoke to us about business planning and staffing. Should you have any question on this area, maybe you didn't listen while he was, or you didn't hear, you can leave questions if you have them in the chat box. Okay, now that we know what to look out for when planning, we know how to, staff or how to hire, how do we set our financial goals, and how do we achieve these goals as a business? So my next speaker, Mayowa, please tell us, what should we do about our finances as a business in order not to hit the rocks even before our businesses take off?
Okay, thank you, Nneka. Thank you guys for being here. So having learned everything that we have about, the business process and the manpower process, it's important to note that no matter how great your ideas are, or your business plan, or your feasibility study, like Emily had mentioned that you have to have, no matter how great all these things are, if your money management is poor, then your business may not make it. Money management is actually very, very crucial to business success. So whilst we all know that the ultimate goal in setting up a business is actually profit making, we're in business to make money, unless you're an NGO. When you set up a business, your goal is to make money. You must take the extra time and efforts to ensure that every step you take, every financial decision, every financial step you take is moving you one step closer to achieving the goals that you've set out for yourself. Now, a business can be potentially viable. You can have, like I said, the greatest of business plans. You can have a very sweet plan on paper, even your practices are right. If you're making the wrong financial decisions and you're not, as literate as you should be financially, then unfortunately the business will fail. So for the purpose of this, we've highlighted, or I've highlighted a few financial management skills that as a business owner you have to have to aid you in your decision making. These are decisions that you will have to take, and then financial tasks that you will be facing as the head of the business. Okay, so this has been grouped into a 4-way guide, basically just something for you to put all your financial task needs into a quick picture. You have cash flow management, budgeting, financing options, and your accounting basics. Now, to run and grow a business, one of the crucial money management decisions that you'll be making is cash flow management. You're going to have to manage your cash flow as effectively as you possibly can. So moving on, starting with cash flow management, I'll start with a question. Think about it, there are two businesses. One is very profitable, but there's no liquid cash in the business. The business is very profitable, but they don't have liquid cash. Then there's another business that's, there's a lot of liquidity flowing in and out of the business, even though their bottom line is not that great. Which of these two businesses do you think will stand the test of time and do better in the long run? This is a question that our MD once posed to us. We all had different views on what the answers were, but at the end of the day, we realized that the liquid business stands a better chance. The liquid business stands a chance to do better in the long run. So what is cash flow? Cash flow is money that flows in and out of your business. You're a business owner. Money is coming in. This is income, sales, money is coming in, money is going out. So there are times when you have positive cash flow. There are times when you have negative cash flow as a business. When you have positive cash flow, it's because the money that is coming in is more than the money that is going out. This is a perfect scenario. But there are also times as a business when you have negative cash flow. It's not a death sentence. It's not necessarily, a bad thing, as long as you plan appropriately for it. Now, if you have a negative cash flow, most of the time it's a cash gap. Maybe you need to do something as a business and then the expenses are more than the money that you have on ground. It's fine to take a loan. It's not a bad thing to take a loan. Institutions like ours are set up to, meet you at this crucial point in your business. So it's possible for you to just step out, take a loan, cover the cash gap, and then get back on track when it comes to your cash flow. Now, cash flow management is you recording, tracking everything that is going in and out. You're managing, you're basically just taking a picture of everything that's happening cash-wise. Depending on how cash intensive the business is, you may need to, actually keep a cash flow statement every week just to be able to keep track of what your spending is. Now, the cash flow management principles that, I would recommend are basically you keeping a statement, like I said, keep a statement of cash flow, keep records of what goes in and what goes out, weekly or monthly at worst. Then be conscious of extending credit to customers. Now, as business owners, most of the time, you feel that if I offer credit services to my clients, chances that they will come back to me are very high. So you find yourself telling people, come and buy, you don't have to pay immediately, offering credit services. Whilst this is good for your bottom line, it's actually not the best for your cash flow. So in your cash flow management, you should be mindful of, extending credit. Even if you extend credit, do your, due diligence and ensure that payment is coming in as and when due. Encourage your clients to pay as early as possible. Now, just the same way you are extending credit to people who are buying from you, you also have suppliers that you're getting products from. So seek out suppliers who will give you an easy payment plan, so to speak, where you can actually get products without necessarily parting with all the cash that you need to pay for those products. Also look for, people who will give you service on credits, basically. I mean, you're not happy to be in debt or anything, but for your business, it helps when you can delay, the rates of outflow of cash. That's something that, we are very big on around here. Then document your transactions. Now, as a business person, most of the time we feel, okay, I can keep it in my head, or I'll remember, or somebody will remind me of something. So we don't exactly keep the records that we should keep to help us effectively manage our cash flow. Document your transactions, those you are buying from, those you are selling to, those you are rendering services to, those you are borrowing from, those that are borrowing from, everything that involves, touching that business money. Document so that you can track and you can plan properly. Because if you have cash flow issues and you need to go and take a loan, they will assess your cash flow and you need to be able to explain exactly what is going on with your finances. Okay, so I'll stop there for cash flow management. We'll move on to budgeting. Budgeting is like a very critical component. I said the first one was critical, but budgeting is almost more critical than that, for your business success. It's the process by which all this money that you're making in the business, you're ensuring that money is being put to the right use. The money that you're making is being applied and is being put where it's going to have the biggest impact. So budgeting is that's important. Most of the time people say every kobo counts. It's not an exaggeration. I know in Nigeria sometimes you're like, is there still kobo? But every kobo actually counts. If you add up all your kobos and they become naira, you add up all those naira, they become thousands. All of that makes up your business finances, makes up your money. So budget how you plan to spend this money as strictly as possible. A lot of business owners will shy away from this subject of budgeting. They think of budget as financial handcuffs. They think of it as something that will tie them, like MD was explaining in discipline, don't eat the food while it's on fire. A lot of business owners think of a budget as something that would stop them from enjoying the fruit of their labor, so to speak. Well, that's not what a budget is. A budget is actually a guide. It's supposed to help you, turn out even better business-wise. So with a budget in place, your operations are more efficient as a business. You have your plans, your spending plans, your income plans, you have everything already spelled out from the beginning. It helps you be more efficient. It helps you avoid and even sort out cash flow issues if they show up. That's how budgeting can be useful in your business. Also, it minimizes issues of, okay, we didn't know that this expense was going to come up, or we didn't know that we were going to need to spend this much. Issues like that can be addressed from proper budgeting, and it also helps you control spending. So here we have just a group of do's and don'ts when it comes to budgeting. I've said that do monitor your processes to find opportunities where you can cut costs. So you're a business, you have your expenses already spelled out according to your budget, but you might be able to, as time goes on, when you assess your operations properly, you might be able to find opportunities where you're able to cut costs, reduce costs, or manage your finances better. Take such opportunities, track your performance against your forecast. Now, your forecast is your budget, right? As things go on, as it's happening, track it so that you have the budget. This is your budget, this is your actual. So what did you plan to do? What are you actually doing? Do that tracking. It may be a bit of a process, but it's worth it at the end of the day. And then be prepared to make adjustments based on your performance. If you have a business and you set out what you plan to do, according to your budget at the beginning of the year, depending on how you perform, you might need to adjust it. So say in the beginning, maybe, for example, you plan this year, we hope to make maybe 500,000 naira, income every month. And then halfway through the year, you find out that you're actually exceeding this budget. You're making way more than that. That's not the time for you to take the money and go and order the latest designer bag or shoes or bone straight hair for the ladies. That's not what you do with that kind of money. In fact, if you don't have a plan for it, send it to Crystal Finance. We'll invest it for you. Put it in investment, do something with it. You didn't plan that it was going to come, but as it has come, adjust your budget to accommodate that extra. Also, don't impose a fixed budget on your team's decision making. So your team has plans, there's a budget, but there's plans, there's reality. So in reality, your team has these things that they need to do, but your budget says we can't spend more than X amount. Now, you should be flexible enough to allow your business to still run, regardless of what the budget says. Also, don't cut costs at the expense of quality. For those of us in product type businesses, the temptation is there for you to reduce the quality so that you're not spending more than what you plan to spend. There are times where you've made the budget, but you didn't know that prices were going to move against you during the course of the year. You're tempted to now reduce the quality so that you can stay within that budget that you plan to, spend. But that's not something that you should do. You need to keep your quality where it is. Your customers are your customers because of the quality that you introduced to them in the beginning. So don't do that when it comes to budgeting. Also, don't think of a budget as an exact science. You've gone through the pain to create the budget, but it's not, cast in stone. It's actually something that you can move back and forth with. Okay, so moving on, we'll look at financing options. Financing options when it comes to a business. So you've been in business for a while, and it's time for you to take the next step. You're ready to expand, maybe not expand exponentially or anything, but you're ready to take things to the next level, you may not necessarily have the funds that are required to do everything that you plan to do. So you need to step out and seek financing. There are two options. There's the debt option, there's the equity option. Now, these two options, they can exist pari passu, they can exist together in your business, but there's a difference. In debt financing, as a business, if you go the debt route, that means you're just looking to borrow for either long or short term. You're going to, well, one of the advantages is that when you borrow the money, all that you're paying back is the money. It can be long term, it can be short term. One of the disadvantages, though, is that almost immediately the loan is approved, depending on what the structure is, you're due to start paying back. So it's difficult to actually grow your business based on debt. On the other hand, if you go the equity route, you find somebody who's willing to invest in your business. Equity financing is either investing in your own business or maybe money from stakeholders, family, friends, they'll give you that money, maybe not for you to pay back in the near future, but you might have to part with part of your business. So the business, you're actually going to exchange the money they're giving you for a stake in the business. Now, that's good and bad, in the same way, because with equity, you're actually parting a part of your business. Now, you may be the kind of person who likes to manage your thing by yourself, A to Z, but when you go the equity route, you're actually going to have to give other people a say in your business. They're going to be involved in the day-to-day management of things. They're going to be involved in the decisions that you're taking as a business, the growth trajectory. Everything is no longer solely your decision. So as a business owner, before sourcing for finance, people might even throw money at you. They might believe so much in your idea and throw money at you. But before you go out and take this money, ask yourself, the business plan, is it sound? How much do I really need to fund this my idea? How long do I need it for to achieve these goals? And then do I have the ability to repay? By the time you look at your projections and you look at all of that, you'll be able to decide which route is best for you to take as a business when it comes to financing your goals, your business goals. So lastly, we'll look at accounting basics. Under accounting basics, there are three major aspects that as a business owner you need to pay attention to: your financial records, accounting terms, and what your financial statements look like. Firstly, looking at financial records. The financial records that as a business owner you need to really keep are your bank statements, your check stubs, invoices, deposit slips, transfer receipts. First and foremost, you need a different business account. You need an account separate for, as a business owner, like my MD said, you're tempted to take the business ATM card and start paying for everything that is entering your eye. But that's not the plan. As a business owner, you have a business account. So your records are recorded there in your bank statement. If at the end of the day you want to do any reconciliation, you want to do any maybe loan request, you want to do anything business related, that statement will serve the purpose. A lot of people don't use checks anymore, but for the businesses who still use checks, keep your check stubs, because those will also help you, with your records. Invoices, deposit slips, and transfer receipts. These are records that you should keep for your proper financial management tasks. Then moving on, we'll look at the accounting terms. I'll say you should brush up on your accounting terms as a business person. The truth is, the people who really like accounting in this life are accountants. The rest of us don't really like it. And it's something that as a business owner, you may not be able to succeed without it. So brush up on those terms. You might have the wherewithal to actually hire a hand that will do your accounting and do your books beautifully. But as a business owner, you need to understand what the person is saying. The person is, speaking their language, putting their, numbers and everything. You as a business owner, you can't just rely on that. You need to have at least, even if it's 25%, understand the terms. So brush up on the terms. I'll just take you through real quick the major terms that you would come across in this process. Assets in accounting. What are assets for a business? Assets are the things that you own. And whatever creates revenue for a business, whatever the business benefits from owning, basically is an asset to the business. The liability, on the other hand, is the opposite of that. Now, whatever the business is owing is a liability to the business. Maybe your landlord is already calling to say rent is due, unpaid rent, things like that, accounts payable, whatever is due for payment that is not yet paid is a liability. Revenue is, income from sale. Maybe the investment that you put with Crystal Finance, for instance, the interest that we send to you every month, that's revenue. It should register as interest income. It's what you would refer to as revenue. So everything that comes in as money for the business is revenue. Expenses is something that everybody incurs. Business owner, individual, even babies, everybody, incurs expenses. So we all know what that is. Expenses is, the things that you need to keep the business running. You have to spend this for the business to run smoothly. Then lastly, equity is, what your business is worth. What is the net worth of the business? Value that the business is actually worth at the end of the day is equity. So moving on, we'll look at the financial statements that as a business owner, you need to be familiar with. If you have an accountant, you have a software, whatever you have, these are statements that you would most likely be, coming across: balance sheet, income statement, and cash flow statement. The cash flow statement is very complex, but balance sheet and income statement, those are everyday, well, not every day, but every month at the end of the day, your business should be, registered in terms of, okay, you can see your balance sheet. Your balance sheet is a snapshot. It will show you what you have as a business, break down your asset, break down your liabilities and your equity. Your income statement is the truth of what is actually happening. Now, money is coming in and out of your business. You're seeing cash flow, but what does it actually mean as a business? Are you profitable? Are you making money? Are you losing money? Are you stagnant? These are things that the income statement will reveal to you. On the next slide, I have a sample of what the balance sheet and income statement look like. Your balance sheet is basically something spelling out your assets and then your liabilities. So it's comparing both. The way to draw up the balance sheet basically is to record your assets, record your liabilities. By the time you take your liabilities away from your assets, whatever is left is what your business is worth. That's your equity. So the balance sheet, equation according to the accountants is assets is equal to liabilities plus equity. That's what your accountants will tell you, and that's what it really means. Income statement is basically top line showing you your revenue, and then your expenses are spelled out. Everything that the business incurred, from rent to subscription to water to everything that has to do with running the business, your income statement should carry it. And then at the end of the day, by the time you net off your total expenses from your income, you have your net profits or loss, hopefully not. Okay, so in conclusion, I'll just run through quick things that we should remember as business owners in managing the finance of your business. It's not something, sorry, that's my timer, so my time is up. So real quick, cash flow projections will reveal cash shortages when your financial statements mask them. You should always have your cash flow intact. Always begin with a budget. Always do your financial management. And then before borrowing money for your business, determine if you can actually afford it. And if the answer is yes, take your time to shop for the best loan options available. And like Crystal Finance. So thank you for listening. I hope you were able to learn something.
Wow. Thank you very much for that, Maya. In fact, there are so many questions on this segment of our session today. Yes, I mean, it was really interesting. Maya was a bit fast, but that just goes to show that she has a lot to tell us when it comes to financing. There's a lot to learn. And as a business owner, I believe every business owner should learn financing. If not, okay. Okay, so I got a few things myself. So from what she said, keep all your cash flow records. And she also said, seek suppliers that will give you easy payments plans, not the ones that will go and call you out on Instagram, or we've seen things like that. People that would, give you easy plans that you can follow through with. And she also said, with a budget in place, you are more efficient with funds allocation. It controls your spending, that cannot be truer. She also said before sourcing for finance, you need to ask yourself questions. Is my business sound enough? Can I repay this money back and not close down completely? So, and also she said we should keep all our bank record receipts, invoices, and many other things. If you have any questions, more questions, please reach out to Maya and reach out to us as well. But specifically, if it's on this area, if we're not able to take your questions from the chat box, we'll leave a link. But you can also communicate with us. You want to have a chat, you can reach us. So, okay, now that we know about our finances, in fact, we know so much right now. We'll go to our last speaker for today. He'll be talking to us about understanding the industry we play in as a business and how we can analyze the business. But before that, I will take a question. At least I have so many questions. I've got to take at least one. So I saw one question. Okay, so I saw this question, very interesting, from Divine. It says, in starting up a business, is it advisable to get loan when the capital is not available? That's a very interesting question. Maya, why do you want to take that? Maya, why you need to unmute first.
Okay.
You're still here.
Sorry. Okay. So, well, for every business owner, it's assumed that, before you step out and try to look for a loan, you already have some skin in the game. You cannot come with your business plan and dreams and expect any lender to, fund it 100%. So it's important that even though you're a startup, you must have, some money to put behind your plans. You must have gotten it off the ground for it to be worthy of financing by any financial institution or whatever. Since it's a startup, well, in this exact scenario, Crystal Finance may not exactly consider it, but I'm sure there are angel investors and venture capitalists and things that you may be able to speak to. Also, family, friends are the type of funders that you'd look to starting off the ground with. Yeah, I don't want to take too long on that question, but that's just my general answer to that. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you very much. Okay, like you said, we don't want to take too long. We want to finish up and then go straight into the question and answer session. So I will go to my last speaker for today, who will be speaking to us on analyzing our markets. Did you please take it away?
Okay, thank you very much, everybody. Both speakers have done justice to the first two parts. They discussed about the manpower and they discussed about money. But the most important part, or another important part of the business, is the one that attributes to the markets, which we can dovetail down to customers. Like I will always say, I will say that our customers, or people to patronize the business, they are the skeletal system of our body, which is the business. So it means that without your skeleton, then you are nobody. It means you cannot survive. If customers don't come to patronize you, then what is happening to your business? And this is going to take us to why we should analyze our markets, why we should look into the markets and look at the type of people that are about to patronize us. I said understanding your customer base is one of the first key steps to success in business. So it means that you should know and identify who your customers are. My mentor will always tell me something that it's not hard to start a business, but the tough thing is to be able to identify a certain problem, or more like a general problem, amongst a set of people and provide solutions to it. So it means that once you can identify the problem among some set of people, or the people that you can give the solution to, they are good to go. Next slide, please. In doing business, you should have it at the back of your mind that whatever business you want to start or you want to go into, some set of people have started already before you, or some people will also come and start the same business. The practical example is for us who sell on WhatsApp, on social media. when we post a certain type of business, when we have to open our status again, we see the same type of business. So it means you are in a business with some set of people. And so this is what we can categorically call industry, where you have different set of business owners selling the same things. So our investigator said an industry is a group of companies that are related based on their primary business activities. So what should you do after you noted it? It means that you have competitors. It means that you should not just sit down as if you are a monopolistic business. So you should learn what the industry's current status is and where it's going. So it can help you in your analysis to say, oh, this is how I should behave here, or these are the things I should expect, or things I should put in place. You should have ideas for new ventures so that you can understand and have a lot of experience about your industry. Now, the next thing to do is to have the mindset that your target market is the most important thing in your analysis. Like I said, identifying a problem and finding the right set of people that needs that solution is very important. So this is where target market comes in. Next slide, please. So talking about target market now, we should talk about market itself. Now, generally or in layman, when I feel market is where we just go to our show market, a co-market, buy stuff and all that. But let's come back to reality. Let's come back to professionalism. We said a market is a group of people or companies who have demand for goods and services and are willing and able to buy it. In our elementary economics back then in school, we talked about demand in itself. Two very important elements. We talked about ability and willingness. So it means that some people can have the ability to buy something, but they are not willing to buy it. In the same vein, or on the other hand, we can say this person is willing to buy it and he cannot buy it because he doesn't have the money to buy it. So that's just a need. So that is the market itself. Now, but in this market, it's very big. So it means your product might not be for everybody. So if you don't do your proper analysis and you're not careful, you just keep spending so much money. You know, you have the right structure of your finance, you have the right set of people as employees, you have everything well in place, but you are making a very vital mistake about who are the set of people I am selling to. You see, on Instagram, when you want to do Instagram ad, Instagram has positioned it to a point, and even Facebook and every other social media platform, they've positioned to a point where they're going to give you some drawdown to ask the age group, the location, the set of people, either male or female. So it means they also understand segmentation and a target to say, these are the set of people you want your business to see or to reach. Very important. So if the social media engine can actually do that, it means by yourself, you should also start with that mindset. So I said the target market is a group of customers who will be the focus of your company's effort. So you are making a certain effort and you have some set of people you want them to see it. Don't forget, there's a note. It doesn't mean that every other people or every other set of people are not important, but you are making sure that the bulk of your efforts and the bulk of your advertisement, so to say, are reaching the right set of people. The next slide. So after you've done this, I don't really want to take much of our time. I want us to move very fast because our data and our time is at stake. So talking about segmentation, which is the next thing, you have the crowd, you have your targets, you have everything. Now, to make it very simple, let me give you a perfect or a layman example. If you are into baby wears, you sell baby wears, you should know in your mind that it is going to be a very big mistake that you are selling or you're advertising to guys, even if the guys are going to become fathers. But you know, the direct or the first contact should be nursing mothers, pregnant women, and all that, because these are the set of people that's going to buy your product. So you have to segment your markets. You know, it's not just for everybody. The process of grouping market into smaller groups defined by specific characteristics. Every customer has a character. And so when you identify this, you note that this kind of character needs my product or my services. So we split them into four. We talked about the geographic part. So is my product needed in the north? If not, why should I put my effort or more like my target in the north? It's wasting of time and resources. So you look at the customer location, you look at the region, you look at this classification. You come to the age, demographic part, you come to gender. There are some products that are not meant for the guys. There are some products that are not meant for the, there are some products that is certain age. So you look at the business you are into, you look at the type of people you are trying to market to, you ask yourself, are you making the mistake or are you making the right choice? You look at the rate of usage. Is it the kind of product or the kind of market you are using? Is it the kind of product that people come back for again, or something that is in one-off where they just buy it and it's going to take a long period of time? So in doing that, having that mindset, you have the right strategy to be able to penetrate the market. Either you need more referrals, or you know that you actually don't put your effort on referrals because they will surely come back. You know, these are the things you need to put in mind. Another thing is looking at the personality, the lifestyle, the attitude. Some set of people don't care. No matter how expensive your product is, they will surely come and buy, because that is the lifestyle they've chosen to live. The next slide. After you've segmented your market, you've done your segmentation and all that, you do something they call market research. There are different kinds of research actually, but this is the market exactly. Now, don't forget, we're talking about your market. If you have the right finance structure, if you have the right employees, or you have the right team, so to say, you know, you're not so big to now call it employees, so to say. You have the right team, you work together. And every day, I mean, you post on WhatsApp, you can post 20 things on WhatsApp, you can go on Instagram, you keep posting. Like I always tell people, it's possible to have 1 million followers on social media, Instagram, for example, and not have the business. And it's possible to also have 200 followers and you keep having business. Why? The 200 followers are real followers who need your service. So going along to buy followers just for the online process might be good, but are they people who will patronize you? So it is not about the crowd, it's about the right crowd. Are we together? It's about the right crowd. So now we said after conducting the market research, or more like the target market, you do a research, you identify your market segments, you already know the kind of age group, the location, the lifestyle, the attitude, you know. Once you do that, you come to the research now. What are you doing in your research? You are collecting information. You don't just dabble into business. I have friends who have started business, they have a lot of capital, but it's closed down today. You know, they don't have the right information. Let me give you a perfect example, or a business. Paga business, for example. You can enter Paga business and start Paga business. Look very simple and maybe demand little capital. But if you don't have the full information about the Paga business, you close up. So when somebody comes to your shop and says, I need this amount of money, you say you don't have because it's too much. Don't forget, for every time you lose a customer, you've lost 4. So when they're coming to your shop the next time, somebody just says, they don't have money in that shop. I'm not sure. I don't think they will have that amount of money. In the same vein, in your business, you don't tell your client you don't have, or the service is not available. So the little things you need to understand about the character and how your customers behave. So you collect and analyze information aimed at understanding the behavior of consumers in a certain market. So you have different kind of consumers, you have different kind of customers, but you want to understand their style. Some people will reject your order once you waste their time. Some people will never patronize you again once you insult them. You know, different kind of things. You identify your potential market, you analyze their demand, you forecast yourself in case you have more sales beyond you're having now. We have different examples of people who start business at very low level, and today they've expanded so much. Why? Because they understood the fact that at this rate I am going. I said something from the beginning about the industry. You need to understand the current status and where it is going. What other trends are coming in and all that, so you can make other decisions. The next slide, please. Now, there are different kinds of research depending on the level of information you have in your market. So I said here, you have the explanatory research where you are blank. You don't know anything about this business, but you've been observing the business over time. You've been seeing it on your WhatsApp status. You've been seeing people you are patronizing, and you're like, I can also start this business. So I think I need information about it. So you walk up to people who are very good in that part, and they explain a lot of things to you. You know, you don't just dabble into it. You can do descriptive research where you need a lot of information on how to describe how the business works for you and all that. We talk about the marketing research. We talk about the casual research where if this happens, will it affect this? So it means another variable is determinant with another variable. If this happens, then it affects it. You know, you go about the government policy. Let me give this practical example. I'm not sorry to say this, that personally, I would not say Bitcoin is legit or fake, but the government are saying they are not in support. Any business you want to run into, either it is legit or is this, is that. Government policy is another important thing you need to put in place. If the government frustrates your business, then you're in trouble. So it means you cannot be successful in that kind of environment. So these are the kind of things you should do. What is the government saying about this type of business? What law binds this kind of business? I said there are some businesses that you cannot use a certain name if you enter CAC laws and all that. So these are the things you need to put in place and need to understand the type of research you should do. You can actually have a lot of information about the business, academic information, or even research, but you don't have the experience, which is another thing you need to put in place. So you cannot be overconfident and say, it's not just to put this into this and all that. I've read about it on Google. I've seen a lot of videos on social media, and I can actually do a lot of things. There are some people who will use that experience to always beat you in the market. The next slide, please. Don't forget, we're talking about the market, which is very, very important in your analysis. Now, there are certain things that we always want to come as a problem, in quotes. I always advise people. I have friends that we have different language when it comes to the kind of business you should go to. Personally, or more like with experience, I would say any business you are introduced to or you want to start, and there's no barrier to entry, it's a flag. Or something is not giving you a sleepless night, then that is a flag, or that should give you a concern to say, will this business stand the test of time? Because by law or by natural applications, some things should be in place that should disturb you. And these are the things that should now put you on your toe to say, what are the mitigations I need to put in place? Or what are the plans I need to have ahead to be able to do this? One of them is the threat of substitute products. Talking about Coke, Pepsi, and all that. I am into Coke business, for example. I should be conscious of the fact that if I don't give my service very correctly well, Pepsi business will overtake me because they can give the same utility as I can give. So if you have that in mind, that is a threat of a substitute product, the number of substitute products available, is it just one or there are more than 10? So it means your customers have the options to go to another place, or the buyer's propensity to substitute, the relative price performance is my own 120. Recently Coke put their price at 120 and all that, and people would prefer to go and buy zero Coke. That is the character of the consumer. They always want to get the highest satisfaction at the lowest cost. That is how it works. So they always look for the best. No matter how rich you are, you always want to. So you should understand all these things in the market, the bargaining power of your suppliers, where you are getting your products from, because that will determine your price. That is your foundation. That's the cost to which you are getting production. You understand? The threat of new entrants. Every day, people observe that business and they see it's viable. They want to join the business. You have the bargaining powers of buyers to say, why is your product like this? It is so amount somewhere. For instance, you people, why are you giving me this amount of rates on loan and I can get it lower here? These are the things you need to put in place to say, okay, these are the analysis I need to do. You need a lot of data analysis when you want to talk about your market. The next slide, please. Now, researching the industry, you are in the industry. Please, I permit me to use this language, no carry last. Don't be the last, because when you are left behind, you fold up. To succeed, you must capture market share by differentiating your business. Very important. You must have something that is your core competence that makes you who you are. So when you hear about Crystal Finance, for example, we are known for our service delivery. We are known for our turnaround time. We don't waste time. These are the things you should be known for. If you make mistake in those parts, then in the market, you'll be sidelined. So you should have a portion of total sales generated by all competing companies in a given market. So every company comes in place and they bring 100% results. And out of the 100%, you're having just 2%. You're out. You need to study the competition to define and serve them. So there's something called SWOT analysis. Your strengths, your weakness, your opportunities, and the threats. Now, let's talk about the opportunities. You look at the market, you observe the market, and you note that there are some things people are actually looking for, but they're not getting it. So you can actually position your market to a point where you can use the opportunity you have to provide that solution to people, and it comes to be your advantage. Very important. You should have a niche where, okay, let me give you another example. I want to start a food business now. There are different kinds of food business. Am I wanting to serve everybody who wants to eat fast food, or I want to go into snacks, I want to go into this and all that? You look at your environment. What is the demand for my type of business? So these are the things you need to just have a small specialized segment of the market based on customer needs discovered in the market research. This is where you can discover it. You have to position your market in a position where you can have that niche and can provide the product or service to them. Another very important thing is competitive advantage. You have to do a thorough analysis of the competition, identify what is unique about your business, and define your competitive advantage. Where any other person wants to try it, they will have to run at a loss, or it's going to be very difficult for any other person to use that. Once they mention that thing, it can only be attributed to your brand. The next slide. Now, researching your target customer. Don't forget, everything we're talking about here boils down or falls down to our customers. Most of us are already starting our tiny business already, either on social media. You don't need a building. we've come to the realization that you might actually not even need a building to start a business. You can start on social media and make so much money. So it means that we are advertising or trying to sell to some set of people. Some people are just sitting down there and they are just social media managers and they're getting their money. Some people are just being online, they sell their products online, you ask for it, they come and deliver to you and all that. So you need to now know the kind of customers you are trying to do. There's something called customer profiling. So you profile your customer to say, who are my customers? You know, we talked about this. This is just like a wrap up. Who are my customers? Where are they? What do they generally buy? And how do they hear about my product? Now, let me stress on how do they hear about my product. There are some set of people that they can only hear about your product online. You know, 90% of our youth now are on social media. You know, you have them on Twitter, on Instagram and all that. So you should put more attention on the social media marketing. I don't know why you should be a business person and you are very, very massive about spending on advertisement on social media when you understand that this set of people are there. I will always say to people, especially WhatsApp marketers, when you post on WhatsApp, if you have 70 contacts on your WhatsApp list, for example, and on average, 30 people will view your status or 50 people at most per day. If you post that every day in 30 days, it's only those 50 people that will keep seeing it. There's a probability that only 1% or 2% would be interested. And there's a probability that just 2% can help you repost. So it means that WhatsApp marketing is limited to your contacts. So why should you not go beyond that? That is why maybe another alternative is for you to tell somebody to say, kindly help me repost. So it means your other contacts are also seeing beyond your contacts. So where and how do they hear about my product is very important. Then you put your effort in that place and, you know, you keep seeing results. How often do they buy? I asked the question, is your product a one-off where people come back, when people just buy and they don't come back for a long time, or is something that they keep needing and they keep coming back? How can my product meet their needs? Sell value. Value will provide money. Value is a currency that brings money. My MD said something the other time, talked about value giving. Talked about you not allowing your business to perfect for you at the early stage. So at the early stage of your business, what you should want to do is provide solution and sell value, not money. Now, don't get me wrong. You're starting the business to make profits, but don't start the business with mindset to make money first. You have to make profits, but what brings that profit to you is value. So the market itself only gives value. So when your market is not giving value, people tends to run away to the next competitor. You evaluate your customers' needs, you forecast your demand. These are very important parts in the market. In conclusion, next slide. In conclusion, I said you should evaluate the internal and external forces that affect your business. I talked about government policy the other time. It's one of the powerful external forces or external force that determines the success of your business. If the government is not in support of the kind of business you are doing, or there are restrictions, these are the things you need to know. Can I cope? If something you can't cope, are you going to enter into partnership because you don't want the business to die? Or should I go for another type of business? You should always be cognitive of your immediate business environment. That is how you should know what is happening in this environment. The demand for my product in this environment, is it high? The ability to understand your current position and know when and how to pivot effectively, protect and grows your business. Once you have a solid understanding of those forces, you can diagnose your strength and weakness, which will ultimately make your business more profitable. So in conclusion, or more like in summary, everything we've been saying this morning is that you can have the right manpower, you can have the right management, the financial management, your things are in place, your budget is in place, but you are advertising and selling wrongly. If you are in the wrong place, then everything comes down to zero. It's everything multiplied by zero. So the three parts are very important: your money, your markets, and your manpower. Thank you for listening. If there are questions, we are here to respond. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you very much, Deji. Thank you for that presentation. It was very, very insightful. And I definitely agree with most of the points that you made today. You know, it's very important to carve out a niche as a business and service that niche maximally. You also said we should segment our market, know who we're selling to, and we should take our time to do our research about our industry, the industry we're playing in. You want to know who the top players are. You want to know what they're doing. You want to know what regulations apply to your industry. And you also want to understand your people who you're supplying to, your customers. You want to understand their perception. You know, people want the maximum value for the lowest price. So you want to understand, as a business owner, concentration may be important as you get more profits than telling yourself, oh, I'm going to sell this shoe 15K, when you know, oh, you can sell as much just by reducing, you know, the price. Thank you again, Deji. I think I have a question here. So Jola is asking, if I expand, say I expand my location or range of products, would I need to do extensive market research each time, or I should just do my research just in the beginning as I'm starting my business? Deji.
Okay, thank you very much, Jola. Oh, you should note that at inception, when you started your business, your research started, or more like was limited to the location you were. And that is advisable so that you cannot just gather too much information that you don't need. So it means that if I'm starting a business in Yaba, Lagos, I should have information about Lagos at most, not to go and start having information about Benin. So it means at that moment, I am limited to the information about Lagos and Yaba specifically. So your question goes thus, to say, if you are going outside of Lagos, for example, and you are going to Ibadan, it's advisable and very, very important, because the behavior of consumers in Lagos might be different from in Ibadan. That is why it's very important. So I would say yes, absolutely yes. It is advisable to take or do more research about your new location because you're expanding. You note that there are some places in Nigeria where the same set of products are not sold at the same price. Why? Because the behavior at each location, or more like the money or the access to money, is different. So different behavior, you know, gives you different decisions to make at every point in time. So yes, absolutely yes. It's very important to do research at a new location. Yes.
Okay, thank you very much, Deji. Jola, I hope Ayodeji was able to do justice to that question. Okay, right about now, we'll take a few more questions from our question and answer section. We have a lot of questions here today, and we may not be able to take some of these questions. So I would leave a link. If we don't read out your question right now, you can please just, you don't have to retype, you can just copy it and then post on that link. It will take you to a form, and then you fill it out, and we will reach out to you during the week at most. So I would take some questions now. So we have, someone is asking, is it possible to totally eradicate fraud in your business? Is it possible to totally eradicate fraud in your business? Desai, do you want to take that question for us, sir?
Okay, thank you, Neka. I think Divine asked this question. The word is eradicate. You want to be very specific, the answer is no. You cannot eradicate fraud from your business, and that's why you build your process to minimize fraud. So everything you do is to minimize fraud. Your process starts from the hiring. That's why you focus on who you hire. And like I also said, no matter how much you hire, by nature of human being, we are all predisposed to be fraudulent. The only thing that prevents us from committing fraud is deterrent in place and the fear of being caught. So the second level is to put a system in place that will always detect when a fraud is committed. So first, when you hire, be sure that you probe people's background and then be certain about their level of honesty. Even with that, build a system that deters people from committing fraud. Don't create an environment where people, or don't create an environment that is fatal to people thinking that they can commit fraud, that they truly commit it, and then they get away with it. So the answer is no, you cannot eradicate it, but the best you can do is minimize it to the barest minimum. And of course, the third one I may add, which is also a big deterrent, is whenever you catch anybody who commits fraud, make a big example of such behavior so that you send a signal to people that such behavior is not allowed in the system. I don't know if that answers your question.
Okay. Thank you very much. I think it clearly answers it. No, you cannot eradicate fraud from your system. I will take one last question because we are, our time is fast spent. So 3 people was CCing this question. That's why I'm reading it out. Every other question obviously will answer. It says, considering the recent aggressive revenue drive by the government, tax has become a major revenue source, and MSMEs are having a tough time. How can new businesses navigate this challenge so they don't lose all their profit to tax due to poor planning and non-compliance? I think this is speaking to finance. Okay, Maiwa, do you want to help us?
I think that question is basically asked and answered. I'm going to just say 10% of it, and I'll throw it back at the MD so that he can shed more light on it. The end of the question kind of says that due to poor planning and non-compliance. So in your tax management as a business, you know that paying your tax is the law, is a non-negotiable. In the planning for your businesses, your expenses, tax is an expense. You just need to plan for it. And so whatever you plan for, whatever you need to spend, you have to make provision for it, and it shouldn't catch you unawares. Non-compliance will bring about penalty. Non-compliance will bring about you paying more. So they will come and collect the tax that you refuse to pay. They will apply interest to it. They will apply, an additional percentage as penalty to it, and it's much more than you should have paid when you ought to have paid it. Even though you can plan and maybe manage, the amount of money that is going out from you as tax, there's not really much you can do about it. You just need to pay your tax. That's the much I'll say. MD, if you want to maybe pull it apart a bit more.
Okay, thank you, Mayo. I believe you said what it is, but again, maybe let me just say, there's a saying that says, give to Caesar what is Caesar. And then sometimes we look at tax as something that is just that big thing. The truth is that taxes are charged either on expense or on income. So if you don't make income, nobody will charge you a tax. So if you make income, you make profits. Like the person who asked the question says, how do you manage it so that you don't lose all your profits or you don't lose profits due to tax? You pay profit when you make profit. You pay tax when you make profits. They will not charge you taxes when you don't make profits. Similarly, by law, every time you render a service, you ought to maybe charge a tax on it to be remitted to government. VAT, for example, every business should register as a VAT collecting agent. That presupposes that every service you render, you should deduct something for the government and remit to the government. Most times we don't do that. And so when the government come and say, why didn't you do that? Then you said they have eroded your profits. I don't think that might be right. Again, government is doing a lot in the area of ease of doing business. I know the Finance Act for 2019 and 2020 has greatly reduced the tax burden for small businesses. Up to certain turnover, you shouldn't pay taxes. You're exempted from registering as a tax collecting agent for government. But after certain volume of business, after certain growth, or you get to a certain height, then you must do this. Similarly, other taxes are charged on expenses. So you should know tax head that you should charge based on expenses, tax head that are charged based on income. So when we talk about taxes that are charged on expenses, your payee, once you pay salary, you must deduct the payee and remit to government. So most times we don't even do that. And then when the government come, you say they have reduced your profits. That's not true. We have contravened the law. Withholding taxes. There are different withholding taxes on different expenses. So as a rule of thumb, let me just give a guide. There might be two major authorities on taxes. You have the federal government, FIRS. You have the state government. In Lagos, it's LIRS. In other states, it's tax authority for those states. So when the LIRS or state government come and they are probing for taxes you should have remit, they will look at your expenses. So it is in your expenses that you should deduct taxes. So most of them are always withholding taxes, and either on contract, on commission, on rent. So we should first of all even know the law. And then it's when you know the law, what to do, then you don't fall foul of the law. When federal government come, they check your revenue. It's based on your revenue, on how you make money, that you should charge taxes. So they look at money that comes to you, your receipts. So there you should charge VAT, there you should pay company income tax. So if we know these two areas, we just have this as a shortcut, we know what to focus on. And then, like I said, give to Caesar what is Caesar's. So taxes are not what we can avoid. We must pay them. So we should plan for them, like Maiwa said. So really, it's not that they are eroding your profits. It's just that when they come for you, you have fall foul of the law. So plan for it appropriately so that you don't fall foul. That's what I probably might say.
Okay, thank you very much for that. I hope we're able to do justice to that question. And every other question, I had posted the link for other questions in the chat box. So you can find the link there. Let me see if I can repost it. Okay, so I have just reposted the link. We might not be able to take all your questions today, but definitely we will get in touch with you and answer your questions. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, for joining us today. I trust we have learned something new. I want to also believe that we're taking new ideas, on how we can grow our businesses and take it to the next level. A big thank you to all our speakers as well. Thank you very much. You did justice to your sessions. Crystal Finance will be conducting even more informative sessions. And please keep tabs with us on all our platforms. We're on LinkedIn, we're on our Instagram, we're on our Facebook, Twitter. You can also reach us on our website as well. If you need help with your finances, you need to take loans, you need to invest some funds, please contact us at Crystal Finance Company Limited. We have a range of flexible loans for you. So if you need more inquiries about our loans, you can visit us on all our platforms. We are Crystal Finance Company Limited, and we are located at 374 Borno Way, Alagomeji, Yaba, Lagos. Thank you once again, everyone. We really, really appreciate you. Have a lovely day.